I am here with Ira Helfand, and we have a technical innovation in the name of my husband, who is our cameraman today instead of a shaky selfie. So I would like you to tell me about Nobel Peace Prizes.
Well, as you know, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, which is a global campaign of about 450 NGOs around the planet, won the Nobel Peace Prize this past year for its work forwarding the cause of nuclear disarmament, specifically promoting the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons that was adopted at the United Nations this past summer.
And what did you have to do with that?
Well, ICAN was started by International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, which is a global federation of doctors who are concerned about preventing nuclear war. I'm one of the co-presidents of IPPNW, and I work on the steering group that runs the ICAN campaign.
And you knew something about Nobel Peace Prizes before, even.
Well, IPPNW itself had won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1985 for largely the same work, trying to alert people to the dangers posed by nuclear weapons and the urgent need to get rid of them.
So are you bored of winning Nobel Peace Prizes?
No, I'm looking forward to the Nobel Peace Prize that goes to the President of the United States and the President of the Russian Federation when they sign the treaty that actually gets rid of these things. Then I'll be bored.
That sounds good. It sounds like a good reason for boredom.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your day job?
I'm in practice in Springfield, Massachusetts. I worked for many years as an ER doc. Currently I have an urgent care center where I do about 50% urgent care and 50% internal medicine. A large chunk of the internal medicine practice is related to addiction medicine.
Awesome. We like ER docs.
You're an ER doc also?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great background.
Yeah. So there's a new sort of umbrella term for health that's blending global health and different planetary health concepts called Planetary Health. Now, do you think work on peace belongs within that umbrella?
Well, I do, and I think in particular work on preventing nuclear war belongs under that umbrella because nuclear weapons are the greatest threat to human health. They're also the greatest threat to the health of the entire planet. What we know about the environmental impact that a nuclear war would have really clearly establishes that. The studies that have been done in the last decade or so show that even a very limited nuclear war, one that might not even involve the United States and Russia, or a war between India and Pakistan, involving just a tiny fraction of the world's nuclear arsenals, would cause worldwide climate disruption that would have catastrophic consequences for human populations, but also for the health of the planet as a whole. A large war between the United States and Russia would essentially create an ice age in a matter of 2 or 3 days. I mean, it would drop temperatures across the planet, an average of something like 8 degrees centigrade. And this would essentially, disrupt all the ecosystems that have evolved since the end of the last ice age, 12 to 14,000 years ago. So this is an enormous threat to the health of the planet, and it's something that's under our control. It's not even as hard as curbing global warming, which is going to take a lot of changes in the way we live. Nuclear weapons are in many ways, they're an external threat that we've created, kind of like a tumor that can be nicely excised and removed. And that's what we need to do. We need to get the governments of the world to just get rid of these 15,000 remaining nuclear warheads.
And before the climate gets so bad that we start fighting more about food and water and all that stuff.
Exactly, because the stress that the planet's under, primarily through climate change, but also through resource depletion and overpopulation, these are all pushing us towards greater conflict. And if nuclear weapons are on the table as those coming conflicts unfold, they're going to be used. We have to try to stop those conflicts too. But the most urgent thing is to get the nuclear weapons out of the picture. It's as if you have two people who are having a fight and they're clearly heading towards a physical fight and they both have guns. So you don't want them to fight at all, but you really don't want them to fight with guns. You want the guns out of their hands, and then you can work on calming them down beyond that.
So we're in a time window right now.
Absolutely.
As an emerge doctor, are you triggered by time windows?
Yeah, and I think...
Me too.
I think we have two. We have a medium time window. We've got the period of time until there's a change of administration in the United States, which gives us the opportunity perhaps to get the U.S. to adopt at that point a fundamentally different nuclear policy that recognizes that U.S. and world security depends on getting rid of nuclear weapons. We also have a very short time frame right at the moment, which is determined by the crisis in Korea, which I think people should be frankly terrified about. There is a significant possibility, you can't put a number on it, although people in Washington who I've spoken to in the last couple of weeks say 50% is the number they're putting on it. 50% likelihood that the United States and Korea are going to go to war. And if that happens, this is going to be a war that almost certainly will involve nuclear weapons. And once we cross that threshold, we have entered into a very different and very much worse and very much more dangerous situation.
So in the short term, what would you like your average physician or health professional to do? Like the next 3 months, if we're talking like right after the Olympics.
Yeah, I think people, it's hard to know what to do because the time frame is so short, but people need to raise their voice in whatever way they can. They need to write letters to their newspaper, they need to contact their members of parliament, they need to contact their governments and urge them to take emergency measures to try to put pressure on the United States government not to initiate an attack on Korea. That's by far the most likely way that fighting will develop. It's possible the North Koreans would initiate the fighting, but I think that's much less likely than the Trump administration will launch this bloody nose attack that they're talking very openly about organizing. And this is a terribly stupid thing that they're contemplating doing. It's spectacularly dangerous, and we need to do whatever we can to try to change the thinking in Washington.
Okay. And in the longer term, I understand Canada hasn't signed the treaty.
That's correct. The treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons that was agreed to at the UN last summer, Canada has not signed it, has indicated that it is not planning to sign it. And this is a huge contribution that Canada can make to world peace. If this position changes, if Canada leads the way within NATO, getting other NATO countries also to sign this treaty, it will put tremendous pressure on the nuclear weapon states, the countries that own these weapons, to change their policy and to actively pursue negotiations to eliminate them.
Well, I think Canadian physicians would like to work towards world peace.
I
I
suspect
think
they
we're all
would.
pro world peace.
I think that's probably true of most physicians around the world.
Yeah, so we're pro world peace. So we'll put some effort into that. So thank you very much
My
for
pleasure.
talking to us right now, and congratulations on all your Nobel Peace Prize related work.
Thank you.
That's pretty impressive.
It's nice, but really, the thing that needs to happen is we need to get the job done.
I love that. Get the job done.
Yeah.
That's the best. That's an emerge doc talking right there. Good job. All right.